Hey guys, welcome back to Music Talk with John. I'm out walking and talking. It's a nice day. We're gonna get some nasty weather today. I don't know if you can see. It's a nice day right now. I don't know if you can see those clouds right there. But we're supposed to get some weather, so I figured I'd take a walk, have some videos I need to get recorded. And this is the first one of the day. So I'm gonna spread these out. So I have a couple of videos that I've done all my homework for, and now I just need to get them filmed, and that's the problem, is filming these days. So taking advantage of the time, and here we go. So if you guys have seen me every once in a while on a Wednesday night over on Rob's channel there, Northern Revolutions, you've heard him talk about Blue Rodeo quite a bit. And I'm always curious when I see somebody really into a band, and you know, I always want to know what it is that draws them into that band. And you know, my curiosity goes and I'd start checking out, you know, different bands. So I decided to check out Blue Rodeo, and you know, I think I did their first 3 albums. I do that sometimes, where I do the 3 album thing, like first 3 albums, see how a band, you know, grows and things like that. And I did it, and I just didn't feel right about doing the video. It's kind of like, and this is not like a derogatory thing, it's just a taste thing, but if you don't have anything really nice to say, you know, don't do it, because it felt like it was going to be a negative video, and I didn't want it to be that way. It was just a band that I couldn't get into, and usually within 3 albums there's something that I can relate to, like something, and I wasn't feeling it with that band. And I think a lot of it is here in Florida, I grew up with a lot of that 80s country being played on just about everybody's radio, and I just never got into that style of country music. I'm more traditional country, I think, when it comes to that, the more blues based, you know, just old school country, I guess you could say. So I had a hard time. I think that was a big problem I had with it. So I just didn't want it to be a negative video, and I talked to Rob about it, and he's like, well, try this one album out here. This is supposed to be like their nod to Neil Young and Harvest, and you know, give that one a shot. If there's going to be an album you like, it's probably going to be that one. So I'm like, okay, let me give it one more shot. Let's do it. And this is what I thought of it. The album he was talking about is 5 Days in July, and it came out in October of 1993. And I'll give you the rating and all that afterwards. But Blue Rodeo is a Canadian band. They do country rock, and it's always interesting to me when I see these. And this is just my ignorance, I guess. I don't know too much. When I think of country music and South and all that, I think of the States. So when these Canadians have the country music and sometimes that twang, I'm like, huh. But then again, you know, Keith Urban has a twang when he sings, so I don't get what's happening there. But yeah, it's pretty interesting when you have like these country bands from way up there, because I always kind of associate country music with the South a bit. But again, I haven't really, you know, this is a growing experience for me, so it's kind of interesting when I see that. So it's not a knock or anything, it's just new to me. So this was their 5th studio album. Let's see, the band originally intended for the recordings to serve only as demos. They found that the songs had a warmth and spontaneity that warranted releasing the collection as an album. And I could feel the difference. There was a production difference, even though it had some of that 80s sound in it. You're in the 90s now, so maybe they were getting away from that a little bit. But it definitely had a different sound than the other 3 albums, their first 3 albums that I checked out. Let's see, I can hear the nod to Neil Young and the Harvest album with the use of the harmonica on the song 5 Days in May, and which is interesting because the album's called 5 Days in July, but the song's 5 Days in May. So I didn't look in to see what that was, why they would have a different album title than a song title, but I don't know, who knows. Let's see, another nod to Neil Young and the Harvest album with the raw and messy guitar solo on 5 Days in May. So yeah, that song definitely had the Neil Young vibe when you listen to it, and that never hurts for me because I'm a big Neil Young fan, so that's always a good thing. But the album is more straight country than the southern rock style of Neil Young. So you know, Neil Young's more kind of gritty, you know, more straight, you know, has that rock feel, where this album felt more of a country feel, with kind of like your country, how do I describe it, like the chord progressions and things like that. I don't want to say a little softer, but more acoustic, and where Neil Young will get in there and have some, you know, rock and roll kind of mixed in there, makes it a little edgier kind of thing. So that's the difference that I found between the two albums. Let's see. The album is titled 5 Days in July, yet there is a song called 5 Days in May. I already talked about that. I like the acoustic feel of the album, and that's what I was just talking about, where that country thing, where you have more of acoustic bass thing than like distorted guitar kind of thing. I mean, it does have a mix in there. It's not all just acoustic, but that's the differences I noticed. But they had good melodies, good harmonies, and lyrics. It wasn't overproduced. All instruments and vocals came through nice and clear. I always like that when it doesn't get muddy. Everything can be heard. There's really good musicianship on here. You can't, you know, it's not just because you don't like something, you know, doesn't mean you can't appreciate certain things about it. So that's what I'm really learning about my music journey, since I thought I'd only been on YouTube for 2 years, but I guess I've been in for 3. I got to go back and do that and look, because I looked up my first video and I could have sworn it was 2023, but maybe I got the year wrong or something. But anyway, my music journey through YouTube, whether it's 2 years, 3 years, or whatever it is, I've really learned to give stuff a try that you normally wouldn't, and really just listen and go, okay, you know, that, you know, old school where, you know, growing up and, oh, that song sucks and that music sucks, you know, that's just a thing of saying you don't, a way of saying you don't like something, right? But I try to get away from that negative thing, try to find the positive. There's always positive. There's a reason why so many bands get signed, and you might not like it, but there's something there. There's always, you can appreciate the musicianship, even if you don't like one song off the album, you can go, huh, they were tight enough to put this together, write songs, you know, whatever it is. There's just always something positive you can find. So I do look for that. And when I recognize somebody's just playing the hell out of a guitar or something, like they do on this album, they have really good guitar players, you appreciate that. It might not be something you want to listen to every day, but you know, as somebody who's written songs and things like that, I get it. You know, these guys are talented, so who am I to say, oh, that song sucks? Really? That just doesn't look good on me, I think. So that's my preaching for the day. Yeah, so good melodies, harmonies, and lyrics. Not overproduced. Yeah, I like that. The lead singer's voice is similar to Roger McGuinn and Tom Petty. So I guess there's a couple lead singers, but there's one guy, and I don't know who's who in this band, but he did remind me some Tom Petty and some Roger McGuinn in there. Let's see, 5 Days in May and What Is This Love with Sarah McLachlan is a highlight of the album. Yeah, she had some nice vocals on there, harmonies. I always like, she's another one, I like a couple of her songs, but I can't get into her complete albums. But she has a very interesting, distinct voice when you hear it, and she's an artist, Sarah McLachlan, that I do wish I liked more, but just, you know, sometimes you can't get into it the way you kind of want to. And let's see, and then there was a Canadian reference in there that I noticed, and it was talking about Lake Ontario, and hasn't hit me yet, and I'm sure there's more that I just didn't catch on to, because, you know, I don't know the complete, you know, history of Canada, but there's probably more in there, but that one stuck out. So I was kind of looking a little bit for some Canadian references in there, and that's the one I found. So overall, so you're thinking, well, he probably liked it somewhat because he's doing the video and he didn't do the video for the other 3. And you're right. So there were some highlights on here, but definitely if I were to own, I don't know if I would buy this one. I don't know. It just, you know, sometimes if you're out in the wild, you see a record and you just grab it because it's familiar. I don't know. I might, but I'm not gonna go looking for it. But I definitely would recommend this if anybody says, oh, Blue Rodeo, so, oh, we'll try this one. That's what I would do with this album. So it got a overall 94%, which is good. It's an A rating. And the 2 songs that really stuck out on this album for me were 5 Days in May and What Is This Love. There was no song on here that I'm just like, oh, I can't stand it, you know, get it away from me. There were just some songs on here that I couldn't make up my mind, you know, that middle ground of, well, I kind of like it, but it's not, I don't know, you know. And that's how I do my, kind of like how I do my ratings system. I can tell I just don't like the song completely. It's one of those, I'm like, maybe I need another listen, or like, oh yeah, it's really good, yeah, I like the song right away, kind of thing. So anyway, that's my little review of Blue Rodeo. And if you guys are Blue Rodeo fans, I hope I was fair. You know, this is just opinion. I try to, you know, be cool about how I talk about it, because I realize other people like this music, but I have to be honest about how I feel about it. So I'm trying to be as fair as possible when I do these things. So hope I didn't hurt any feelings, but this was a good review, and I do like this album. So if somebody, you know, gave it to me, I'd put it in my collection. It's an album, I think a couple more listens, it would be enjoyable to kind of listen through, you know, as I'm doing stuff, or yeah. So nice album. And yeah, I could hear the Harvest influence in there, definitely. So that's what I have for you guys today. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And until next time, you guys enjoy your music and take care out there, all right? Bye.